Can you hear me? Okay. Hey everybody, and welcome to Now Loading, coming to you live from the Ustream Studios in Hollywood, California. I'm Will.
I'm Shane.
And this week was our season finale, and we finally made it to the end of the season, so we're actually going to roll out with our impressions of E3 this year from the show floor.
Right, we're going to have videos from the floor, gameplay footage, interviews with industry insiders, so we've got a lot of stuff on hand, and we've got time, of course, always for your questions in the chat.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get it started, and here is our interview about Retro City Rampage. Here we are with Matt from V-Blank talking about Retro City Rampage, a game that I have been looking forward to for a long time. But for those who don't know, what is the game all about?
Wow. Well, if you're going to sum it up, it's essentially Grand Theft Auto meets Super Mario Brothers meets everything you remember from the 80s and the 90s rolled up into one game.
Okay. Can you just give, I don't know, 5, 10 things that it is nostalging into you?
Just about every single facet of this game is a nostalgia trip. Like I mentioned earlier, there's like a little muscle in my head that it's pinging constantly every time I catch a reference or like a visual cue or like the audio.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I think Brian Provinciano, he made the game. He's the programmer, the guy who designed it. I think he's really in tune with what that muscle needs. And it's fun when you see a reference that is like not especially clever. It's not like it doesn't get me excited, but a lot of the references in this game, it's hard to explain, but like you see little tiny things like if a pixel is in the right place, I know he's referencing a certain thing. So I don't know, I couldn't reference it down to specific 10 things, but...
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier that new games try to take old concepts, but you've gone a different route with this game. Can you go into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing official that's on like the box art or something, but it's the way I've seen this game is that he's basically taken modern concepts and he's showing them to you in an authentic 8-bit fashion. So like things like cover mechanic in an 8-bit game, like an actual Nintendo game, it's never happened before that I know of, and I play a lot of Nintendo games, so correct me if I'm wrong. But strafing around enemies too in an 8-bit game, like it's something that I personally have not seen a lot, especially in like the sort of new retro wave games. It's an interesting take on it to like make it actually look old, which I mean I'm sure businessmen are like, don't make it look old because you know people won't get it. It's not graphics, but it's like that's the thing. It's art in a way because you have to interpret what does cover look like when you have 2 pixels to make the guy look like he's covering. But like it's a labor of love in that way, and the audio, which I was a part of, is a lot the same. Like there's genres of music that are more popular now that were not in the Nintendo days. So how do you actually make those sound like Nintendo music? Like you have to actually interpret it a bit and like follow a protocol that you've designed yourself. Like this is what I think it should sound like in Nintendo form.
Definitely. So you mentioned that you helped with the audio of the game. What is one thing that aspiring audio people may not know about the audio, business for a game that you would like to tell them?
Well, if you're playing in a reference-based game, don't, if they ask you to make a parody song, don't make it too close to the original because that will be a horrible, horrible experience. There's a Paperboy mission in this game where you got to deliver like magazines to houses. And Brian was like, we really want like a Paperboy song for this. So like, he sent me a YouTube video of the Paperboy song. I'm like, oh, no problem. It's super simple. I'm gonna just make it great. Send him back one. Like I basically did the original song once through and then started adding parts to it, which is kind of how I write parody songs. And so once I sent that back to him, he's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. It sounds exactly like the original. This old game that like, it has one song in it. Like no one even remembers this song.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. Like, But the way I'd intertwined them both at that point was too hard to remove the original part. So I basically had to rewrite the song over and over. It took like a year to finish this one Paperboy song. And if you go listen to the original Paperboy song, it's so simple. Like, so if you're gonna do parody songs, just be careful.
And what's your favorite NES game of all time?
That is a loaded question. You know how much time I've spent thinking about this, toiling away? It basically changes by day. Certain days, here's my top 10 list. Certain days, here's my top 10 list. But right now, if I had to pick one, all right. Zelda 2. Not 1, 2.
Interesting, because of the down stab or?
Yeah, downward step.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's one of the best moves in any video game ever. I'm doing it when there's no enemies on the screen.
Yeah,
downward
exactly.
stab.
That's how you get through the screen a little bit faster. And if you get the upswing, might as well just
upward
toss.
that one works as well.
So all right. Now, when are we looking at possibly seeing this, and what systems?
D3 is publishing it for the 360. It's also coming out on PSN, PS Vita, Steam, and WiiWare, and maybe others, I'm not sure. The release date's still a little fuzzy, as you're used to by now.
Exactly.
There's no official release date at this point, but just know that Brian is toiling away at all times. He wants this game out, and he's working hard for it to come out.
Now, you may not be able to go into this at all, but if it's coming for Vita, are you planning on using the back touchpad at all?
I should have asked him that. That's one thing, if he told me, I would have been able to say, but I just don't know.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. And where can people go to find out more information?
Retro City Rampage website. I only ever type in Retro City Rampage in Google, and it comes out right away, so I don't know what the official thing is. The soundtrack's also available on Bandcamp. Type in Retro City Rampage Bandcamp into Google, and that brings that up.
And can you talk about the different albums that are available for purchase?
Yeah, on Bandcamp they have the digital release, which is you just download or sample them if you don't want to pay for it. But there's also a vinyl that was released as well. They have like multicolored actual vinyls for it. There's also a CD release at some point. So yeah, the soundtrack's at least well taken care of in that regard.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, so that was our interview for Retro City Rampage. As I stated, in the beginning of the interview, I am so excited for this title. One little touch that probably wasn't shown on there is, it's just the small things that make the games great. The Contra guys actually showed up, and you had to fight them, and they died in one shot, just like the Contra guys. It's just those little touches that make it prove that it's made by a gamer that's really is in love with games rather than somebody who's just trying to make money.
Right, yeah, and just the sheer number of references that they were able to push into even just the short video or the short playthrough that he did, it was dozens upon dozens of cultural 80s references piled one on top of the other, just like lightning fast. It was phenomenal. Yep. So it's going to be a great looking game when it comes out. Definitely. So now there were a lot of games that we actually played and weren't able to get interviews with just because people are busy and so forth. But we wanted to go ahead and just give our quick impressions. And so let's go ahead and start off with Forza Horizons. Did it! Actually, no. It was actually a pretty good game. They redid the braking system, and the cars are a little bit more controllable now. I'm not very good at racing games, but I was actually able to win. I shouldn't say win. I didn't take first, like somebody, but that would, yeah. The definition of winning, generally speaking, is taking first place, which is what I did when I got to play Forza Horizon. Yeah. Now, of course, that was all thanks to the rewind mechanic that's been in the last couple of Forza games. If you crash or you run off the course, or you just get completely passed and screwed, you can hit rewind just by hitting one button, and it takes you back 5 or 6 seconds to give you a second chance to make another decision. Yeah. So at one point I got crashed into one car while somebody else was passing me. I was able to hit rewind, move them back, and then just thread the needle and get right between them to take first place. And it was a lot of fun. It's a great looking game. It's beautifully rendered. So we in fact do not hate it. It does look like a lot of fun. Yeah. Now I will say that if anybody who is like me sucks at racing games, download the demo. I'm sure that there's going to be one that comes out. Make sure that you enjoy it and everything along those lines. Because Forza is very kind of intuitive. You kind of have to fine tune your vehicles. So make sure that it's something that you're going to be invested in. But for racing diehards, right. I'm guessing you already have it pre-ordered. Yeah, it's definitely not as forgiving as an arcade racer or something like a Mario Kart game. You do get punished if you make mistakes. If you don't know how to control yourself in turns, if you don't know when to work your car just right, you are going to end up getting passed. So it's definitely something, if you're a hardcore racing fan or you want to become one, Forza Horizon is a good way to go. Well, and next is one of my another game that I'm really looking forward to, Borderlands 2. It's more Borderlands, it's more awesome, it's more wub-wub. Yeah, we got the opportunity to go behind the booth at 2K Games. They had a live demo playable. Basically, it was a room of about 20 people. We got to spend about, 20 minutes playing? It was a really long playthrough. I was surprised how long they were letting us go. But we got to go through a long mission. Co-op, Will and I were playing together trying to protect this machine that Claptrap was having us go through and destroy these statues. And we were getting constantly encouraged by him and constantly derided by the person whose statues they were made of. Handsome Jack. Handsome Jack, thank you. I'm not as big a Borderlands fan, but this game definitely looked like a lot of fun. It gives you the opportunity to purchase and upgrade weapons, just like you could in the original game. Will, tell us about that one weapon that you had. Yeah, that you were basically, before there were different makes and models of weapons, and now they're branded by certain companies. So one company that I had the weapon of, their special technique with the gun is it's a throwaway gun, which means that once it's out of ammo, you throw the gun to reload it, and it in itself becomes a little bit of a grenade. So it's really interesting. You throw it, it blows up, and you have a new gun formulate in your hand. It's a really interesting concept, and I like it. It's cool. But so overall, Borderlands 2 definitely looked like one of the top games of E3 this year, and certainly by the amount of fervor behind it and how many people were in playing, it definitely looks like a game that's going to be a big hit later on this year. And once again, another game that I'm really excited for. Will really is excited for games this year. That's not to say that I'm not. It's just Will's got a metric, like he's going to go Super Saiyan on us. Yeah. Spoiler alert. PlayStation All-Stars. I mean, it kind of plays like Super Smash Bros. Brawl. What it is that you have 4 players on the screen, each trying to beat each other up using PlayStation iconic figures such as Kratos, Sweet Tooth, Nathan Drake,
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the
Lest
Rapper.
ye forget.
Yeah, and a couple other ones. And the point is to just beat everybody else up and get as many kills as you can. Now, one really cool thing about this game is that it is cross-compatible with the Vita and the PS3, so you can play on the Vita and PS3 and fight against each other. So.
Okay, I didn't realize this. So, like, if I've got the game on my Vita and you've got it on your PS3, we can play
against
the same
each
round
other.
together. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's what the setup that they had. So one person was on PS3 and the other one was on Vita.
I totally.
And to be perfectly honest, it actually felt a little bit more comfortable with the Vita because the Super is the back touchpad. You just swipe it to the right and you activate it. So
I wondered how they were going to make that useful. That makes sense.
So it was actually really cool. Out of the 3 matches that I fought, 2 of them I took first.
Nice.
The first one I had to learn the controls. I'm sorry. But.
Now, speaking of taking first in a fighting game, the next game that we played was Virtua Fighter 5. It was a remastered edition. I can't remember what the subtitle for it was, but it was at Sega's booth. Virtua Fighter 5 is one of my favorite fighting games, like after Street Fighter. So Will and I, we had a best of 5 match, and I won the first round, he won the second and third rounds, and then I won the 4th round, and then in the ace match, it came down to like one punch, and gosh, I can't remember who won. Was it? It was me. I beat Will in a fighting game. Mr. Street Fighter, me.
That's not a fighting game.
No.
It's a very good fighting game. Obviously, as was remarked before, is that it's I'm sorry. The fighting the video game staff has been handed over. Apparently,
my precious.
It's basically a remastered edition of Virtua Fighter 5, which came out a couple years ago. They fine-tuned a couple of the moves. I shouldn't say a couple. A lot of the moves. They made them make more sense. Like there were a couple moves that you would punch high. I'm trying to give a real review here.
Okay, fine. They don't come to us for real reviews.
You would punch high, but then it hits a medium, in the midsection. Right. Now, one thing that they changed that I really don't like, and this isn't just jab because you won, is before, when you would face off in matches, you would earn money, in-game money, and through that you would gain costumes or, like special doodads for your character.
Right.
But now you have to pay for it. It's paid DLC.
Yeah.
I don't like that. The only thing that I can think of, the game's out right now, and I'm not certain exactly how much it is. I'm guessing that it's probably around the $19.99 range.
I think so.
That's probably how they're trying to make their money back, is through the paid DLC, but I really think that it's a bad move, especially when you've got a game that you could probably pick up for a lot cheaper, used, that you don't have to pay for stuff like that. So
yeah, and I can definitely understand that, but there are definitely fans out there that are long-running fans of Virtua Fighter. I remember playing it over at my friend's house on the what was it, the 32? It was on Genesis, but it was like on the disc.
32X.
32X, yeah. And just putting tons of hours in. So there are diehard fans that there is a market there for them. But for everybody else, you can get the basic game and just kind of get a fun, easy fighting experience. And if you're not that great at fighting games, like me, you can just ring out your opponents. That's my favorite thing about Virtua Fighter. That's not how I finished them off, but I did get one round.
In one round, yeah.
One round was a ring
not
out.
in the final.
It wouldn't be a Virtua Fighter game if there wasn't at least one ring out.
So, speaking of diehard fans, this next game has kind of got them a little upset. Lost Planet 3. Basically, they've changed a lot of things within the game. This is now a prequel to Lost Planet 1 and 2, and rather than being more of a stage level game that it was before, it's open world. Before, there was a running life timer, is a way to put it. Basically, you had a certain amount of T energy, and if that ran out, your character died. Basically, you consider it a heat source. They've removed that because it's more of an open world game, so they don't want people to feel that crunch timer. They don't want to have to run and fight a monster rather than exploring the world. And basically what's going on is the lost planet, so to speak, has been discovered, and now we're the first colony to go in there,
harvest the T energy, and rather than being used as a life source, it's currency. So it's much more story driven rather than the other ones. You basically play a guy who never really cared about being rich. He just enjoyed his day to day. He's very kind of Southern home style, but he has a kid and then realizes kids cost money. So he ends up being one of the guys on the colony to mine out the T energy, and through that he fights big monsters, and it ends up being a bigger debacle than he anticipated it to be.
Moral of the story, don't have kids. Then you don't have to fight giant monsters.
Yeah. Now, one of the really cool parts about the game is that it is gruesome. Basically, I was facing against a large crab creature, and I had blown off one of its arms, hopped in my mech suit, grabbed his stub, and used my drill arm into its back. That's pretty brutal.
So would you say that you attacked the weak point for massive damage?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it its blood, so to say, splattered all against the screen, and it's fantastic. The storyline is really great, and you really get this homely feel. This guy, there's always like country music playing in the background, just subtle. And even when you hop out of his mech to run around on foot, he has it playing on loudspeakers, so you still hear it a little bit. It's a nice touch. So it just really gives that homely feel, and you're like, this guy deserves to survive and make it home. Right. So.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. One of the other games that I'm personally really excited for, because I put a ton of this time into this game when I got the original Xbox, is Jet Set Radio. I played Jet Set Radio Future a ton, but now it's coming out for the Vita. Now, if you're not familiar with the Jet Set Radio in this franchise, basically it's you're part of an inline skater tagger gang, and you're fighting against the authoritarians in Tokyo, and basically, you're trying to tag your territory and do awesome tricks and just basically have a lot of fun. And that's pretty much what I spent my time doing. And you get to listen to awesome J-pop videos in the meantime, or music, J-pop audio in the meantime. And it's one of my favorites. So,
yeah,
what were your thoughts?
It looks like it's a really good transition from, I believe it was on PlayStation 1. Or Dreamcast. It was on Dreamcast, I think. And onto the Vita, it actually handles really well. I've never played Jet Set Radio, so it took kind of a while for me to figure out exactly what I was doing. But the moment that I got it down, it really worked. Though I will say getting shot by a detective was kind of surprising. I expected it more to just be spray paint, but it worked really well on the Vita.
Yeah, you would think the balance of power would not be so even when it's spray cans versus guns, but apparently somehow we're able to hold our own.
Yeah. So a game that I got to play is called, it's made by the people who made World of Tanks.
Very popular free-to-play MMO.
Mm-hmm. So they've come out with another game called World of Warplanes. And if you like flight simulators, this is your game. However, if you don't like flight simulators and you get sick just looking at it, this isn't your game. Guess which category I fall into.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it was really fun, and I can completely understand why people will play this game. The physics work really well. It's I think what we play was 8-on-8 dogfights, and the world is really expansive. They have like 50 planes that you can pick from. The system that I was on accidentally had them all unlocked, so I got to play a lot of them. And then one of the guys came over and said, "Oh, those shouldn't be there," and he had deleted them. I was like, "Hey!" But there's a lot of really cool things in there, rather than just shooting each other down. One really cool part that even surprised them is I ran out of ammo, and I said, "What am I supposed to do now?" And he said, "No, just
you auger that baby in. That's what you do."
Yeah, you kamikaze a guy. He's like, "Yeah, but it's really hard."
You nailed it. Nice.
Boom! This guy right underneath me. So it took him out before it took me out. So I got the point. So
nice.
It's another free-to-play MMO. It's really fun. And like I said, if you like flight simulators, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, there is a very hardcore group of flight sim fans, and this is going to be a game that they've been wanting for many, many years, and they're going to be very excited to have it.
Yep.
So next up, we're going to be taking a look at an interview we had with Aaron Grumish. He is the community manager for That Game Company. That Game Company is the makers of Journey, Flow, and Flower, some very popular games on the PS network. So he's got some news from us and some just general thoughts of E3. So let's take a look.
Hey everybody, Will here, and we ran into our buddy Aaron from That Game Company, and we're going to go ahead and check on and see what he's been up to. But before that, Aaron, what is the coolest game that you've seen so far at E3?
The coolest game that I've seen so far is Beyond Two Souls, that's made by Quantic Dream. That they're also the people that brought Heavy Rain to the population. Well, dang it, I don't even know how to say it.
Well, they brought it out, and you know, it obviously made a huge impact on the gaming world, especially with PS3 exclusive. And it's really interesting that they've also gotten Ellen Page to be the lady for the game, and it was shown during the Sony press conference, and she kind of walks in between both the living and the dead world. At least that's what they were alluding to that I picked up. Is that what you picked up?
Yeah, well, like they do have the Two Souls thing, and one thing at the end of the trailer, what they showed, I think she said, like, "Let's get going, Ellen," and I'm pretty sure that's what she said. But anyways, it looks like there might end up being like two souls inside of her or something. But one thing that I'm glad about that is what they did with Heavy Rain is they took out like the like supernatural parts of the game, and then it put in various like plot holes into it. So people are like, "What's going on here?"
All right, regarding That Game Company, you've got big news about your next game. What is it?
It's a video game. Oh yeah, like our next game we're going to be publishing ourselves. So we're not going with any publishers or anything like that. It's going to like basically, all that you can know about that right now is that that leaves it open to work on anything except on Xbox Live. So sorry, Xbox gamers, because Microsoft doesn't allow like video game studios to publish their own games on Xbox Live Arcade. We can't. But yeah, so it's for what you can see, it's open. We'll have more details on that in the coming months.
So basically what that means that your next game is pretty much almost, aside from Xbox, it has the possibility of being on any platform. More details are coming later, but that's pretty much the gist of it. All right, so in addition to that, what do I hear about some kind of a collection coming out?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be announced yet, but Sony sent out the trailer for the Journey Collector's Edition. Now, that does include Flow and Flower in there, but yeah, at this point, we're not ready to exactly say what that is, but in a couple weeks, we will have all the details for you. So it's going to be, I'm just going to say it's going to be just really, really exciting for the fans and really exciting for the company. And yeah, it's going to be awesome.
All right, sounds good. All right, so now if obviously you have some big news coming up within the next few weeks and things like that, where are people going to go to find out the information? Where are you guys going to be releasing this information?
Well, you can go on our Facebook page on facebook.com/thatgamecompany, or Twitter, which is Twitter/thatgamecompany, or on our forums. We also have a blog, and but our Journey Collector's Edition, that's going to be announced on the PlayStation blog, so you can just keep checking that if you want.
All right, well, sounds good. Thanks for your time, and be sure to check it out. I love every game that you guys have made, so I'm excited for the next one. All right, so that was our interview with Aaron from That Game Company. And, he's been on the show so many times that it just wouldn't be right to finish out the season without him. Everybody, Shane.
Hey! Wait, no. Richard.
Oh, it's Richard. Yeah.
I can't turn this off.
We control the horizontal. We control the vertical.
But the...
Can I mute?
Anyways, all right. So what we'd like to do now is just kind of like a general E3. The big three: the
right.
Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft.
Nintendo.
All right. First off, who do you guys think won? Who do you think won out of the three?
Nobody. We all lost. No, I think 2K Games won. Honestly, I was not interested in anything that Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft came out with. I think this was the year of the third parties. This is the year that Activision, Ubisoft, 2K Games, even smaller publishers like Snail Games and Trian basically came out of the shadow and said, we don't need the big three to have a successful E3. Our lives do not hang in the balance of them anymore.
Yeah.
That was the impression I got.
Well, my big concern is, and while it's great to have like all these publishers coming together, because no one, Xbox and PlayStation aren't releasing a console this year. They're probably going to wait maybe another year before they even announce another console.
Right.
But Nintendo seems to be really underplaying the Wii U. Like they need to be blasting. There should be commercials for it already on television. That a new Wii system is coming out.
Yeah, we were really amazed. On day 2, we were in walking past one of the booths. I think it was it Warner? It was Warner Brothers booth, and they had a setup for Wii U for Scribblenauts and Batman: Arkham City, and we just walked right up and played.
Yeah.
There was no line. There were no crowds. There were not people that were, trying to get in and play, even though this is a new unreleased system. They even had an FCC and FDA warning label up saying that this device has not been cleared for FCC regulations and may not be sold and may interfere with your devices. Please use caution.
Yeah.
Well, that's why. That's why no one was playing.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah,
well, I don't want my iPhone to get all screwed up playing on the Wii.
But yeah, the fact that nobody was there. I mean, there were a couple people, and there was like one other media organization that were doing some, doing some footage. But I was just shocked at how quickly you got in there.
I'm glad Nintendo's stepping up their game and making a more comparable system. But it's a little late to try to make something that's just comparable.
Yeah.
They had a chance to get a leg up. I know that they had a really bad year last year financially. But I love Nintendo, and I really want them to do well. And biggest fear is that if this Wii U doesn't sell, that's going to be it. That company is going to fold. And their stock characters are going to be their only resource that they have for money.
Right.
And that's what keeps Nintendo alive. That's why I love Nintendo, is that I can go back and I can play, I can play Metroid, I can play Mario, I can play Star Fox, I can play all these games because they'll always be there. But I've grown up with Nintendo my whole life. It's been my absolute favorite, and that they're not trying. It feels like they're giving up. They're giving up before they even get a chance, and it makes me mad.
Yeah, I think they maybe misjudged their impressions when they took the Wii U, and by not naming it something completely different, by not giving it a fresh start, they've kind of tied it to the Wii, which I think was a mistake, because even now, we were talking about before that some major media organizations like CNN think that the Wii U is a controller for the Wii as an add-on, but no, it's a whole new console. And I remember last year when they revealed it at E3, we all weren't quite sure exactly what it was. They had to put out a clarification press release to explain, no, the Wii U is its own console.
Yeah.
And
you have to put a number after the system name.
This whole letter thing
they don't know.
This whole letter thing doesn't work.
And even CNN did a story this week that they thought that it was a controller for the Wii, and it just doesn't make sense. Well, I'm going to be the only one who actually picks one of the three. I picked Sony. Sony won. But let me just preface by saying that they win does not mean that they were awesome. Honestly, all three were very lackluster. None of them had a wow moment. Nobody made me go, oh my god, they did something that's amazing. It was all like, oh, I know about this. The only thing that was new, I guess there were two things. One was Smart Glass from Xbox, which means that you can use your phones with your Xbox to browse menus and do the web. Who cares?
Right. Well, and if you're watching something on Netflix on Xbox Live on your screen, you can use Smart Glass and then pick up the movie right where you left off on your device, which, it saves me from doing this.
Yeah, I already have Netflix on my phone.
Right.
And it already tells me where I was last time I was watching on my phone. I don't care about that.
And I imagine that the connection is much like AirPlay is with iPhone and iTunes and stuff like that. There's a horrible delay between starting a song and actually having it start. So because the Xbox doesn't have Bluetooth, so it has to go through the wireless, your wireless or your network.
It's got to be Wi-Fi. Yeah.
So there's going to be a delay. There's going to be issues where people are going to want to go, and it's going to take a second for it to actually appear, and then they're going to realize, oh, I made an error, and now it's going to be tricky.
And the other thing that was announced is the Wonder Book for the for PlayStation 3. Now the interesting thing about this is that it used the PlayStation Eye, which I haven't heard about in years. I thought the thing was dead.
There's a what now?
Yeah, it's a Kinect that came out 5 years ago.
Oh, the Eye. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking like the letter I. No, it's actual E-Y.
Yeah. So basically, it uses the PlayStation Eye, which is their camera, a book, and a PlayStation Move. And the book that they showed off most was a Harry Potter spell book that you can actually do the spells and motions and learn about stories behind the spells, which for Harry Potter fans, fantastic. And, you know, if you have kids, that it could be really cool. But other than that, like, there just was nothing this year that was like, oh my god, amazing. The only reason why I give it to Sony is because they finished the show with games that were only coming out for PlayStation. Xbox, you finish it on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Everybody already knows about that game, and it's probably going to pick it up for Xbox anyways. Right. So I just don't understand why you wouldn't finish it off with Halo. I understand that you wanted to start with Halo, but I would have swapped them. Just finish on something that says, we are Xbox, this is why we matter.
Right, what sets you apart, not what makes you the same.
Yep.
Yeah, no, good call.
Yeah.
All right, so to get out of the general stuff and to talk a little bit more about some of the things we saw, I want to point out the really awesome game for Xbox that you did play. As much as people give crap for the Kinect, I think it was pretty awesome, your experience with Dragon Ball Z, so why don't you talk about that?
All right, so as you guys are probably viewing right now, I got to play the Dragon Ball Z for Kinect game. I have to say that it plays, the motions are a little bit hard to pick up. Now, it is still in beta and it's planning on coming out next year, and so the motions aren't picked up that great. So like you see a couple times when I'm trying to charge up and then I move because the Kinect isn't picking me up that well. But when it does work, it works fantastically. It actually is pretty fun. For Dragon Ball fans, it you know, it's definitely a must buy because you really do get to play as Goku and you really do get to fight these guys and you really get to throw fireballs. But you know, hopefully they fix the Kinect issues and are able to pick you up a little bit more. But you know, that was my biggest issue with it. Other than that, it's a fantastic game.
Well, that's honestly a problem I've kind of seen with Kinect in general. Like it is a little finicky. Its detection is not perfect. So those kind of like in detail motions that you're doing are a little bit harder for it to tell. But it looked like it was being pretty responsive for the most part. Like I was impressed, and I think most of the people around were impressed as well. Because there was a decent sized line of people getting ready to play Dragon Ball Z. So it definitely looked like a lot of fun.
Definitely.
So what else did you see that you enjoyed?
Well, you know, I played Lego Lord of the Rings, and it was actually pretty fun. Now it for the most part is a Lego game. You know, you're going around attacking things, getting Legos, building things, but the thing is that I got lost in the demo, and I couldn't really figure out where to go after I had, you know, fought a troll. And so, you know, other than that, it was really cool. There are a whole bunch of different characters you can play as. You pretty much play as the Fellowship. Each character has their own little traits. Like Legolas shoots arrows to target.
You mean like Legolas?
Oh, come on. Boromir has the horn?
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah.
He runs around with the horn, and I did something, I'm sure, but I didn't pick up what it was. Yeah. So, it certainly is a great Lego game, and, you know, if you're a fan of Lego games, pick it up.
Yeah, I definitely like the method they use for these Lego series games. Like, it's a great way to take what is often considered like an adult concept. Like a game like a movie like Lord of the Rings is really not for kids, but obviously a lot of kids know about it, have heard about it. So to give them kind of a family-friendly way, it's a way for parents to kind of come up with a compromise rather than having them buy that M-rated or high T-rated Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King game. You can give them Lego Lord of the Rings. They get the same experience. They get to have fun. They get to, you know, laugh at the cave troll throwing them around. You get to laugh at Pippin falling into a well. You know, even though there's some more mature things going on here. Like you're slaying orcs, and instead of blood, it's just Lego pieces falling all over the place.
I think the games are really clever.
Yeah, exactly.
I play them with my little cousins, and I have a lot of fun playing with them.
Exactly. It really is the even playing field for adults and kids because you can go over and hold circle to build the thing, and they're like, oh my god, coins everywhere. But
and you know the stories. Like as an adult, you know what the story is that you're playing, and so it's like, oh, this is clever, this is fun, I like it.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much going to wrap up our show for this season.
Woo!
It's been a fantastic season. I have to thank everybody that's helped out. Richard has been on the show a lot. James, our producer. The names are countless. Tiffany, Andrew, Lucas. Bob, just all of them.
Corey right over here.
Yeah.
Leapy for helping us out on camera and for just being always awesome. The people in the chat, the Tiff, Allosaurus, Otter Lover, TV's James, everybody else who's ever asked a question, everybody else who's shown up week after week. We really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate when you put out the word about the show. We think we have a good time here. We think you guys enjoy yourselves, and we hope you do. And we want even more people coming back this fall to have a good time and enjoy it too. What the show is going to be like between now and this fall, we will have some new content. It's just not going to be this big main show here. What we're going to be doing is on Tuesdays, Will will still be doing his live game stream. On Wednesdays, I'll be holding down the fort on YouTube at youtube.com/nowloadingtv. So you can subscribe there, and every week I'll have a video for you. It'll either be news of the week, or maybe some funny, interesting thing that I've noticed, or just feel like talking about, a little soapbox kind of. And then come this fall, we'll be back with the big show, and we'll be having some more announcements soon about exactly what that's going to be like. But we're going to be adding some new elements and having a lot more fun, and we're excited.
And during this summer, we're going to be introducing new shows and things like that. The Now Loading brand is going to be expanding more. So be sure to like us on Facebook at Now Loading TV. Like us on Twitter, Now Loading TV as well. Like us on Twitter at Bad Dude Will.
At Bad Dude Shane.
And we are coming out with new shows during the summer, and it's going to be really exciting. So this is only just a break for us. We are definitely coming back. We're just going to regroup and just come back more amazing for you guys.
Yeah, and for me, I'm just going to sleep a lot for the next 3 days because the E3 was exhausting. It's been a long week, but it's been fun, and I hope you guys have gotten to take a look at E3, and I hope you guys have gotten a piece of the enjoyment that we had, and we thank you all.
Yeah. So have a good night, and I will see you on Tuesday.
Goodbye.
Bye.